IT security, cybersecurity, GRC. You've probably seen all four of these terms used almost interchangeably in job postings, in LinkedIn bios, in which career should I pick videos. They are not the same thing. And not knowing the difference is costing people jobs because they are applying to roles that don't match what they actually have to offer, or ruling themselves out of roles they are already qualified for. In the next 10 minutes, I am going to draw you a map of exactly how these four things relate to each other and show you exactly where GRC sits and why that matters more than you think if you are trying to break in or move up. I get some version of this question constantly. Do I need to be really technical to get into GRC? Is cybersecurity the same as IT? I've been in IT for years. Does that count as cybersecurity experience? The confusion is reasonable. These fields genuinely overlap, and most explanations either oversimplify them into one big blob called tech, or make them sound so distinct and technical that people count themselves out before they even look at the job description. So let's actually map it. I call this the four rings. Ring number one, IT. IT is the outermost ring. It is the broadest category. It keeps the lights on. Networks, servers, help desks, hardware, software deployment, cloud infrastructure. If something is plugged in, connected, or logged into, IT is the discipline that keeps it running. IT is not inherently about security. An IT department's core job is uptime and functionality, making sure people can log in, print, connect, and access what they need. Job titles that live in this ring: help desk technician, network administrator, systems administrator, IT support specialist. Ring two is IT security. IT security sits inside the IT ring. It is IT with a specific mandate. Protect the systems IT is running. Firewalls, endpoint protection, patch management, access control, security awareness training. IT security is defensive and largely internal. The job is keep our environment from being the reason we end up in the news. Job titles that live in this ring are security analyst or SOC, security engineer, IAM analyst, vulnerability management analyst. Ring three, cybersecurity. Cybersecurity overlaps heavily with IT security, but it's the broader, more public-facing term. It includes IT security's defensive work, plus offensive work, penetration testing, threat hunting, incident response, threat intelligence, and it applies beyond corporate IT. Cybersecurity covers critical infrastructure, national security, product security, cloud-native security. Most people use cybersecurity and IT security interchangeably. In casual conversation, that's fine. In a job search, it isn't. Because the technical depth expected under the cybersecurity banner, especially offensive roles, is often much higher than what IT security roles require. Job titles that live in this ring: penetration tester, threat intelligence analyst, incident response analyst, security architect, red team operator. Ring four is GRC. Here is the part almost nobody explains clearly. GRC is not nested inside the other three rings. It sits alongside them, touching all three. Translating what happens in IT, IT security, and cybersecurity into a language that leadership, auditors, and regulators can act on. A GRC professional does not need to configure a firewall, run a penetration test, or patch a server. A GRC professional needs to understand what those things mean for the business. The risks, the obligation, the decision, and communicate that clearly. Job titles that live in this ring are GRC analyst, risk analyst, compliance analyst, IT auditor, third-party risk analyst, information security officer. That is the single most important thing in this entire video. GRC draws on the other three rings without requiring mastery of any of them. There's one more role worth naming because it gets overlooked constantly. Privacy analyst. It sits between GRC and legal. Close enough to GRC that it's often housed on the same team, but distinct enough that it deserves its own mention. If you have a legal background, this is often the fastest door in, and true roles worth calling out by name because they're the most accessible entry points for career changers specifically. IT auditor, a strong fit for legal, finance, and PM backgrounds. Often overlooked because auditor doesn't sound like tech. And third-party risk management, or TPRM analyst, which is fundamentally vendor risk management with a security wrapper, and one of the most background agnostic roles in this entire map. If you are coming from finance, healthcare, military, legal, or project management, this is the part that should change how you think about your own path. You've been assuming you need to enter through ring 1, work your way through ring 2, and ring 3, and eventually arrive at GRC. You don't. GRC is a side door, not a top floor. What it actually requires is the ability to understand risk, obligation, and structure, and communicate it. That's it. Not an IT skill. That is a business skill you may already have. If you are already in IT or IT security and feel like cybersecurity is a technical ceiling you haven't broken through, this reframes your path too. You don't need to out-technical the cybersecurity specialist. You need to translate what you already see every day into risk language. That is the entire premise of the risk language shift I've covered in earlier videos. Knowing where GRC actually sits on this map is the difference between ruling yourself out of a field you will qualify for and walking into it with a clear, accurate story about why you belong there. If you are still not sure where you fit on this map, that is exactly what the free GRC map, that is what the free GRC career map is for. It is one page. It shows you the 3 GRC lanes,